Hey everybody, we're here on Talk Texas Oil. We're live.
Hashtag Fossil Fuel Friday.
Hashtag Fossil Fuel Fridays. We wanted to say thank you to Kim for having us on today. And I'm Matt Hill. I'm with Knight Energy Services. This is my friend Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Morando with NOV Wellbore Technologies. And today we're going to be talking to you about changing the way that you talk about oil and gas.
Yeah, and I wanted to interview Lisa because she has a lot to say on that subject. And I wanted to get into it right away. Did you always picture yourself in oil and gas?
You know, actually, I didn't. When I was going to school at OU and I was studying chemical engineering. And originally I thought, I would never get into oil and gas. That's just not me. I don't fit that mold. And then I graduated. I was on track to graduate in 2014. And around 2013, 2014, there were over 1,600 rigs in the U.S. So oil and gas was booming, and it was a big industry here in Oklahoma, and so over 80% of the career fair was oil and gas. So I thought, okay, maybe I should give this a shot so I can get a job when I get out of school.
How do you even get into something like that?
Well, so I had applied for Schlumberger's field engineering camp. So it's a 5-day camp where they take you to a drilling site and a frac site and a drilling fluids lab, and they give you basically a day in the life of a field engineer. And it was a great opportunity, and there were 2 instructors that led this camp, and one of them was this petite little Canadian, and she was so cute, and she had been at MWD, and she had told me every year I buy myself a new Gucci bag to treat myself for all the hard work that I do. And I thought, wait a minute, if she can do this, I can do this. And, it changed the mold in my mind on what being in oil and gas meant, and really opened that door for me.
So from that camp, you actually wanted to get in oil and gas and go live on a rig?
Yeah, pretty much. After I graduated from OU, I ended up going to work for Baker Hughes in their engineering development program. So I chose to be at MWD just like her, and so I was living on rigs, and I'd go out there for 1 to 3 months at a time. Basically, whenever you pick up tools, I'd program them, I'd rig up all of our equipment, and I'd share a trailer with 3 grown men for that time that I hadn't met prior to going out there. But it was one of the best things that I ever did, and I really enjoyed being out there with those guys, and it honestly just reminded me of working out in the yard with my dad, and they were some of the most hardworking people that I had ever met.
Did you see a lot of, you say going out to live on the rigs with the guys, did you see a lot of other women in oil and gas out there living on the rigs?
Actually, no. I had run into 1 or 2 while I was out there, but I was told at the time there was 0.02% women on rigs at that time when I was working there, and a lot of the guys that I was working with had never had a woman out on site before. So I took a lot of pride in the fact that I was there to represent that women could be out there and contribute intellectually and collaboratively as a part of the team in the field.
How long were you out there on the rigs?
So I lived on rigs for about 1.5 years, drilling in Oklahoma, and I had planned on completing the 2.5-year program, but then in 2015, U.S. rig count went from about 1,600 in 2014 down to 300 rigs in the U.S. And so, like many people, I ended up getting laid off, and then I ended up finding a position in the water industry for Lane Christensen. So
what did they do?
They drilled water wells for cities and built water treatment plants.
Water treatment plants kind of goes with your degree.
That's right, yeah. So the chemical engineering and then the water treatment, and then they were drilling water wells, so it was utilizing my drilling experience.
Lisa's way smarter than me, guys.
No, Matt's pretty sharp himself, but it ended up being a really good fit for me, and it gave me the opportunity to grow my sales skills because I had not yet had the opportunity to do that. So it was a good position, but I really just missed the oil and gas industry.
What did you miss about the oil and gas industry?
Well, for one, I already touched on the culture of oil and gas being so hardworking, but in addition to that, what oil and gas meant to me started to change. Before, I used to think of gasoline or a bunch of dirty old men, working outside, talking like sailors, and but then once I got into it, it changed. And when I thought of oil and gas, I thought of high tech. I mean, the tools that I was running, we as an industry contribute our ideas and our technology to NASA.
Going back to that, like when you were out on the rigs before, since you missed that, like what are some of the technologies you used, like when you first got into the oil and gas industry?
So as a MWD, LWD, you know, you're running tools down the hole to collect data, to drill directionally, to recover these invaluable resources. And so some of the sensors that they have within those tools would be like your inclinometer, your magnetometer, basically steering up, down, left, right. And then you're going to be measuring depth, pressure, temperature, and then you'll have like resistivity tools sending out, you know, an electronic wave out into the formation to measure the different kinds of rock or shale that are there, and gamma ray sensors, and then all of that is pumped up to surface.
Yeah, you told me before just how much you love the technology. That how in the world does that information get back up to surface?
Yeah, I mean the amount of data they're getting downhole is insane, and then the way that they bring that to surface is basically it's mud pulse telemetry. So it's essentially like Morse code that you send up through the mud in the drill pipe with a little pressure or you've got a little restrictor valve that increases pressure spikes that are picked up on surface with pressure transducers, and it's binary code of ones and zeros, just like Morse code. And then they pump up all of this data and can steer 20,000 feet under the ground. It literally blows my mind.
I always love the way that people get so excited about this technology, and
That's right.
like you said, you missed the oil and gas
That's
industry.
right.
How did you get back into it?
Well, so it's kind of a funny story. So I started Googling networking events for oil and gas, and I ended up finding one for that evening that was the Oklahoma Energy Explorers, or OEE. And if you guys are familiar with that and you live in Oklahoma, you need to get familiar because it is a great organization. And they have networking events at the Petroleum Club. And so I ended up just getting myself a ticket and going up there to talk to people and letting them know that I was looking for a position back in oil and gas, and I ended up getting 3 job offers from the event.
Okay, so I go to networking events often, and I rarely get a job offer. Okay, I get 1 job offer. How did you get 3?
Well, you know, that it was a blessing, absolutely. But some things that I did that helped position me to talk to the right people was, first of all, I brought my business cards. Always bring your business cards.
Even if you don't have a business card, put your name on a card.
Yeah, make one, right?
Make something.
But so I got my business cards. I got my suit jacket on, and I went up there, and I ended up just hanging out near the bar because everybody goes to the bar to get a drink. There's a line, and there's a lot of opportunity for you to talk to somebody for a minute. And so I just introduced myself to as many people as I could and let them know, hey, you know, I'm an engineer, I've been at MWD, I've got sales experience, and I really want to get back into the
you're there
industry.
to learn how to support their career.
Exactly.
They're there to learn how to support your career, and of course each other support the oil and gas industry.
It's all about how can we help each other.
Right.
Let me help you.
What jobs were you offered there? And then go on, I'd like to learn, like, what did you take?
Well, so 2 of the positions were sales positions for oilfield service companies, but first you had to go through another year or so long training program in the field. And then one of the jobs was as a marketing and membership coordinator for an oil and gas advocacy group called the OIPA, or the Oklahoma Independent Petroleum Association, now known as the Petroleum Alliance of Oklahoma. That's right, it's a new name. And so anyway, I ended up taking the position as the marketing and membership coordinator, which even though it paid less than the other 2 jobs and it did not utilize my technical expertise, I recognized that it opened up so many opportunities for me to grow my network and really just slingshot my career in the future.
Absolutely. Now, the Petroleum Alliance, or formerly the OIPA, it's an advocacy group.
That's right.
So when we talk about that, like, what do they do for us? How do they represent us? What do they do here in Oklahoma?
Well, I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. So advocacy groups do 2 things. They provide representation at the Capitol, and then they provide us access. So I'll go into both of those. So they have lobbyists at the Capitol and governmental affairs representatives who represent the entire organization and their views for what they'd like for legislation and regulations that are passed. So they're going to have more influence than an individual company's lobbyist or representative because they're representing a large group of oil and gas entities. And so that's how they provide advocacy. And then they also provide access to one another. So they host networking events, like when I was there, they had a gala, or golf tournaments, clay shoots, conferences, luncheons. We had a car show. And so they provide opportunities for different members to network with one another and grow their businesses and share ideas. So
once again, supporting their careers and their industry.
Cannot stress the importance of going to those networking events.
Now, there are a lot of what you and I would call, there's a lot of higher level people at the OIPA because of their positions, and why?
Yes, so the Petroleum Alliance of Oklahoma, or any advocacy group, is going to attract a lot of higher level executives who want to be on their board of directors because they want influence on the policy that's going to be passed, and they want that representation at the Capitol, and because it affects their business, whether it's the gross production tax or whether it's laws on different pooling regulations for how long of laterals you can drill. Those directly affect the profitability of their businesses, and they want input. So that attracts a lot of higher level individuals to organizations like that as well, that you wouldn't get access to in some of your other organizations, which provide other benefits.
Do you think you learned anything else while you were working there?
Yeah, while I was there, if you've ever gone up to the Capitol or talked to somebody, maybe your neighbor or a friend that's not in the oil and gas industry, a lot of people have a lot of negative things that are connotations associated with oil and gas, just like I did when I was younger. They think of pollution, they think of, destroying the planet, they might think of gasoline, but, that's kind of what is associated versus...
When it's actually the complete opposite.
It's really our jobs to change the way we talk about what we do. Because oil and gas, that is not the full story with oil and gas, as I've come to learn by being in the industry. Oil and gas is technology. It is quality of life. I mean, oil and gas byproducts create antiseptics and antihistamines. They create the vitamin capsules that you use. They create your makeup, your clothes, tires on your car, the body of your sports car. They're used to make this table, to get this finish on this magazine. 95% of your iPhone is made out of oil and gas byproducts. This watch right here.
Life-saving medical devices.
Yeah,
over and over, it's a moral obligation for everyone here in the oil and gas industry to tell people what we do, because we do not want a life without oil and gas.
That's right. And when people think about oil and gas, they just think about fueling cars. And even an electric-powered car, okay, well, where does that electricity come from? It comes from a natural gas or coal-fired power plant.
We hope so.
And so, to think that the industry is on its way out or has negative connotations is just not inaccurate. In reality, oil and gas creates a high quality of life. It is your health care. It is your future.
Yeah, absolutely. You had, I'm sure it was tough to leave that group, but you had such a great opportunity after that. Where did you go after the Oklahoma Petroleum Alliance?
So I ended up leaving that group on the staff side and just transitioning to be a very active member. Just because while I was at that group, I had a lot of people approaching me with job opportunities because I was meeting so many different people frequently, and people could see how my network was starting to grow. And I ended up taking a position at Tenaris. So Tenaris is a global manufacturing company. They make casing and a line pipe and other items. And so I was selling casing for them in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. And I saw that as an opportunity to grow my career and expand my knowledge on the operations side, and also get a good bump in pay because I had taken a reduction for the position as the marketing and membership coordinator. And so that ended up being a really good role for me as well.
But now you have left and you've gone to NOV.
That's right.
Now, what are you doing there?
So I sell drilling fluids for NOV in Oklahoma City, and one of my good friends was the Oklahoma City sales rep, and he ended up getting promoted and moving down to Houston. So he was looking to replace himself, and I had actually been very interested in selling drilling fluids because it more closely aligned with my chemical engineering degree, and this position ended up being such a great fit. It increased my flexibility, it's increasing my knowledge of operations on the drilling side, growing my skill set, and I just have such a great team. I love working with our team here, and I'm really grateful to Travis Norman for giving me the opportunity to interview for this position, and so it's been a great deal for me.
Where do you see yourself going? What else do you want to do with the oil field?
Oh man, well,
I didn't ask you this before.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, 5 years, 10 years ago, I never would have even seen myself in oil and gas, and here we are. So you never know what life's going to bring you. But I will say I thoroughly enjoy working for NOV, and I love working in sales, and I'm always trying to learn more and grow more, and we'll just see what that turns into. But right now, I'm just grateful to be where I'm at, and I'm still learning things every day. So I mean, I'm pretty happy to stay in the position I'm in, and I can't. My
so
crystal
proud
ball
of you.
isn't working this evening.
Yeah,
but,
I'm so proud and honored to know you, Lisa. And I'm just so thankful that she decided to join me today on this show.
Well, thank you, Kim, for giving us this opportunity.
Yes, Kim, thank you.
Thank you,
Talk
Matt.
Texas Oil. We know you're going to grow your audience and grow the voice of the oil field.
Well, and then that's really the one main thing we wanted to hit on in this video. It's each and every one of our jobs. When somebody says, hey, what do you do? It's not just, oh, I sell drilling fluids. No, I sell drilling fluids, and I help provide energy to the entire world and improve everybody's quality of life with the byproducts that we create.
Yeah, we're so proud to work in oil and gas.
That is what Matt does. That is what I do. That is what each and every one of you in the oil and gas industry do. And it's our jobs to vocalize that to our friends, to our neighbors, to our legislators, so that they see that it's not just gasoline. It's so much more that we're providing. It's quality of life.
Absolutely. I think we're going to wrap it up here tonight.
I
think everybody got a little taste of how we feel about oil and gas. And we hope that we can come back on again sometime soon and talk to more of our friends here in Oklahoma. Thanks again to everybody watching.
Yeah, thank you. And if you have any questions, please post them below. Or if there's anything else you'd like to hear us talk about in another video or something, feel free to post those below. And then we'll post the link for the Petroleum Alliance of Oklahoma, so that if you want to get involved in your local advocacy group, we can give you the place, and we highly encourage it.
I'm so grateful to everyone that helped us get to where we are in our careers, and
Yes.
all the people. I mean, everybody is just amazing in oil and gas.
It's all about that
Thank you all
network.
very much. Again, this is Talk Texas Oil, and this is Fossil Fuel Fridays.
Hashtag Fossil Fuel Friday.
Fossil Fuel Fridays. Thank you all,
Have
everybody.
a good
Appreciate it.
weekend.
You can just double click it. We're going to be on live for just a minute. There we go.
Stop.